Evening all. Evening, Dave. How are you?
Evening, Baz. How you doing, mate? Evening chat.
Yeah, I'm good. So tonight's going to be Transformers and Star Trek. So hopefully your knowledge is quite good with the both.
We'll see how it goes. If not, we'll conclude in. So, yeah.
So we'll bring our guests in tonight. So we've got Geekology. So I'll bring these in and the guys can introduce themselves to everybody.
Hi.
Hello. Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Very well. Your good selves.
Perfect. If you want to quickly introduce yourselves first, what you do, what you collect, just for everyone else out there that's probably new watching that hasn't seen you guys before.
Okay, well, I'm Sven. I've been collecting Transformers since they came out when I was 9. So yeah, that's a major thing for me. My other main sci-fi franchise is Star Trek, and though I haven't got a massive collection of Star Trek toys. I have been following that since I started reading the novelizations of the original series that my mom and dad had.
My name is David, and I'm Sven's carer. No, Anakin. I'm the guy who knows all the Trek stuff and shakes my head when he gives me little Transformer things to do. And I'm like, oh, this feels delicate. And he says, oh, well, it's only $1,000. So, yeah. I'm that guy who then passes him a 10-pence ship from, 20 years ago, which is now going like ridiculous.
Do you guys collect anything else, or is just mainly Star Trek and Transformers then?
Well,
I know Sven used to be into computer games and a few bits like that and other bits.
You're joking. He's intravenous. But the thing is, the technology's improving. All these really cool games are coming out and all the rest of it. And he's going, oh, the Commodore 64 games have been re-released. You can download them on a chip that's this big. And he just,
Actually, the A500
No. Unless you put the word in front of actually, you're not allowed to do that.
No, actually, I think you'll find it's Amiga stuff, not C64.
It's true. Actually, I told somebody they needed to Facebook you today to get some C64 info.
Yeah, I'm not really the big C64 guy. I do have a ridiculous number of Amigas at home.
And I'm eclectic. I just collect weird and wonderful things. That
if you spot something you like, you pick it up. If not, walk away.
Exactly.
It's the same with me and Baz. We collect a bit of everything, don't we, Baz?
Yeah. We do.
Commented the other day going, oh, wow, I didn't know you were into all these really cool anime figures. Isn't this a brilliant show? And I'm like, I've got no idea. I was at a toy fair. I saw that. I thought it looked quite cool. That's the entire extent of my knowledge was, I like that. How much?
Dave's a little bit like me, is that you see something that's colourful or looks cool or unique and you just pick it up.
Yeah.
See, now that explains most of my Friday nights and why my dating is so shockingly bad.
Yes. Yeah.
You find something good, and there you go. So there you go. Right then. Normally we start off the show. If you guys got any new pickups or toys you want to show off, the brand new you picked up the last week or couple of weeks.
I managed to get my mitts on a Siege Shockwave.
Oh, nice.
He's fully armed, literally. So it's a leader class, and they were going for about 45 when they came out, but Siege is now 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago. So this is now on the aftermarket going through the bloody roof.
I thought since Playmates have just done their big press release of all the new really cool things, I just thought I might show something to remind people quite how good they are. So as they have re-released the Enterprise, all new, all shiny, I just thought I'd remind people that back in the day when this was shiny and new, they did wonderful things like 1701D on the art. Now, luckily, they didn't do it on the toy, but they were in such a rush to release this bad boy. That's the sort of quality artwork they used back in the day. So, personally, I'm looking forward to seeing just quite how smooth the new launches will go.
Yeah. Also, this turned up not long ago. Masterpiece Reboost. It is basically a repaint of Skids, but in the Diaclone colours from the original line before Transformers came out. But they've given him a kind of look at the head. Who does that remind you of?
Optimus Prime.
Oh yeah. So I'm thinking in some universe, this is what Orion Pax looks like. That would make sense. Have you guys ever played with the Masterpiece?
I have one or two.
Yeah. Haven't done anything with this yet, but it comes with the it's got the little city scooter in it that came with the original Diaclone toy, which is quite cool, as well as what looks like a Microman type thing, and the weapons. So that's pretty cool. So they've done Skids, they've done that, and also got Senator Crosscut coming out, which is the silver version of it.
Okay, now this, Sven doesn't know about this. This is genuinely a surprise. I think it's going to take him all of about 3 seconds to guess to why. So this arrived this morning. I already knew it was coming and what it was. So somebody in a Facebook group showed off a uniform going, I have this uniform, it's shiny, it's blah, blah, blah. And a few people were debating with him over size, quality, who made it, when it was made, blah, blah, blah. And I went, yes, please. No arguments. No. I want to know this. I want to know that. I said, yes, please. Tell me why.
A toy uniform?
Tell me what. No, but tell me why. I said yes straight away to a season 3 Admiral fan-made uniform.
Because it's a season 3 Admiral's fan-made uniform.
No, try again.
It's the badge, isn't it?
It's the badge. There we go. So this very stylized badge, which everybody who doesn't know what it is would go, well, that's a fan-made badge. Fan-made badge. Look at it. It's a fan-made badge.
It's a Roddenberry, isn't it?
It's a Lincoln Enterprise TNG badge. I was like, yeah. Zoik, I'll have that. So yeah, very, very happy. That was a brilliant find. I was quite chuffed with that one. But I wondered how long it'd take you to go, oh, the uniform.
No bad.
Definitely the badge.
Lincoln Enterprise is Roddenberry badge. Right?
You can't go wrong with a Lincoln.
Yes.
How about you guys? What have you picked up that's been shiny and new?
Bad.
Sven's got some more. Sorry, that's a bit premature there.
No, don't worry about it. We can come back.
No, go on, carry on.
I must confess, last week I was with a young lady and I had to go, listen, I'm really sorry about going pew, pew, pew. Just as I climaxed, I am a... What? What? I was about to say I'm an immature ejaculator.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Have you been watching Star Wars again?
I tell you, I've got to stay away from that franchise. It's not good for me. So what are you flashing to everybody now?
I've got pipes. Not the one from that particular BBC show. Not that pipes.
Not that pipes.
Is evil. No, Pipes is basically was originally a mini Autobot from 1985. Was it 6? No, 1986. And he's basically a remold of Huffer. Now, what's interesting about this one? This is the Kingdom one. Okay, Transform. To give it its full title, Transformers Generations, War for Cybertron, Kingdom, Pipes.
Oh,
yeah.
Sven.
Yes,
you do know
we are doing a live unboxing, which has never been done before.
I have not.
I'm always unboxing.
I've had nowhere near enough gin to cope with this level.
You never have enough gin to cope with any level.
No.
But what's interesting about this particular figure, or rather Huffer, that it's molded after, this is basically a remold of Huffer to all intents and purposes, is that the Huffer toy was actually created many, many years ago to go with Masterpiece 10 Convoy.
We're really shaking the table.
There's table shaking.
I know, but it's making it seem like really enthusiastic. Actually, if we do that and make some woo noises.
Okay. But yes, the Huffer toy that this is based on was essentially going to be part of the MP10 launch, so that the trailer could be runded off with by Huffer from MP10 Optimus Prime, and it never got released. And then suddenly along came Kingdom, like 10 years later, and out came Hoover, which was quite cool.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
All right. And last but not least, I'm going to break some deep cover. For those of you who may be aware, there is there was a Netflix packaged deep cover in Smith's Toy Superstores.
Yes.
Like this. It's a big shame it's the wrong colour. Because deep cover is this colour. Now, you can get this deep cover from independents mainly because it's in this kind of cardboard, plain-ish packaging. Because it was done as a sort of like a collector's piece. Doesn't go through normal retail as such.
Yeah.
Yeah, much nicer canopy on that one.
Yeah.
In comparison.
So as far as I'm concerned, we have blue swipe and deep cover.
That's interesting to know.
Yep. Yeah. Now again, we're talking with deep cover. It's actually based on the diachrome colouring of Sideswipe, and there was also another character which has been named Clampdown in Transformers, which was diaclone version of basically Red Alert, but as a police car rather than a fire chief's car.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Cool.
Thank you for that, Sven and Dave. Mr. Baz, do you want to go next?
How many people can I bore to death in one easy lesson?
Well, we have given you the ability to connect to the internet, so more than you used to.
Yes.
Oh, I've actually.
So, just while you get to your stuff anyway, so
Geek
thank you anyway for coming on. How can we actually find you guys? Before Baz shows his stuff off, how can we actually find you guys out there?
You throw a rock anywhere on the internet because Sven advertises on everything.
www.geekology.org.uk will be the best place to go. There's a main YouTube channel, there's a secondary YouTube channel I work on. He's got Love Your Geek, which got all sorts of weird, wonderful things going on. It will be assimilated.
That's not family friendly. I would not be recommending that.
It's after 9 o'clock, guys. We've got a dinosaur in your background that looks quite familiar to Imaginext, but we go on to that another story. So there you go.
But
Baz, you want to say your new pickups off before we carry on with the guys?
I will do it. Just sit there.
Make him large.
So at the weekend, I was at the boot sale, and I think Andy picked one of these up last year. But
I recognize it.
do you? Please explain.
is it Hunt? Oh, we been
Huntlick. Yeah, Huntlick. Huntlick card. It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh / Drawmaster card game called Huntlick.
Okay.
And then I believe he's for the same line.
Yeah.
Looks like something that's just dropped out of Resident Evil.
Then found a Rogue from the first X-Men movie.
Okay.
That's a decent range of figures.
Dave, you might kind of. Is this for action, Max Steel?
I don't think he is. I probably need to do a bit of research on that without guessing, but I don't really know. I could take a guess, but I don't really want to.
And also found this weird and wonderful thing.
Is that some weird G.I. Joe I don't know about?
It's Leonard, Leonard's corpse flying with dinosaurs like Dino Core, they've called it, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Or Dino Rampage, Dino Core. They do all different types of animal sizes, everything.
And you know, maybe
And 10 Omnitrix. Is it the Omnitrix? Am I right?
Yep.
Ben 10.
Yeah.
Then I found a couple of Action Force vehicles as well.
Okay. Cool.
To go with what I've actually got so far.
Nice one.
Now, I think one of those turned up in the Transformers comic.
Yeah, the black one.
Yeah, it was the black one.
But I did a crossover, it counts.
Yeah, because you've been assimilated. It's in the same issue Richard Branson turned up.
Yeah.
And found it's funny enough this in Aldi's.
Right, so that's a
You
two.
know, we find out on Friday, Sven, sorry. You know.
From 2009 Star Trek.
Yeah.
shockingly.
I actually quite like the battle damage version of that.
I also
Oh,
found
we've
this
got-
last week. That I never
Oh, now those are very good.
Is that from
Those are-
Zavvi or did you get it somewhere else?
I got these for B&M's. B&M's is selling these.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
They've had the Flash in, but I thought the Flash was the only character they've got because I want the Batman.
Oh, okay. I'll keep an eye open for you just in case.
Well,
And
the others let me know.
I will.
Because I think they've got
also managed to find this as well in B&M's.
Oh, awesome! Oh, it's on the Red Ghost as well. Very good. Really,
I've already got the Mongoose. I got the Mongoose, was it last year? And
Yeah.
they had these back in again. So they've got these reduced to 13 quid. If you
really. Oh, I've got to go down and pick myself one of those up because they are beautifully detailed figures.
And if anybody's interested in He-Man, they've got He-Man and Skeletor in as well for 11.99.
Yeah, they've got the third reissues in, haven't they?
Not the new stuff.
That's some good pickups, Baz.
Revelations.
I can't remember, Dave. Did I? We'll just grab him. Did I show him off last week?
Yes.
Robot,
I
first
know,
episode of
I
the Fourth
know.
Doctor. Yeah. The amazing growing robot
Oh, aye. And
with the dodgy
Fitness
blue and Uhura. Cadet Uhura.
the one Star Trek character I cannot properly pronounce.
Can you say Natoya? Go with that instead.
Rise.
It'd be interesting to see the new version of Uhura in Strange New Worlds,
Yes.
Yeah.
which starts in May the
May.
5th. May the 5th it starts in the States. Hopefully May the 6th here on Paramount Plus, if we
I
get
just-
it by then.
I just really wanted it to be one day earlier
Why?
because then it would have been May the 4th and we could have
Right,
really.
yeah, as it's the Omnitrix.
Yeah.
Dave's got meant to Ben 10.
Well, so,
You're a bad man,
maybe
Dave.
one day.
All days are bad men.
Everybody needs a Dave. It's
Are
There
we
you go.
getting comments popping through? I'm having things popping up. Right. Okay. Because I'm sure someone said earlier, have you got the touch? Yes. I have.
yeah.
Over,
There's a special cream for that.
yeah, I have over 80 Optimus Prime, so I'm going to go, yes, I have the touch. What other comments are coming through? Because we can't see. I can only
Yeah,
see
we
them.
can't see comments this side.
Well, our friend's just come back from America today, and I met him this afternoon.
That might help.
That might
That
help.
might help.
Hang on. There we
Here we
go.
go.
See, the dyslexic boy spotted the button.
Sweet.
Yeah, that is it.
Well, I said our friend picked me a few bits up, and I'll show a few bits. I'm not going to show everything off. If not, we'll be here till 12 o'clock. So there you go. I only found
Okay.
2 bits from our American friend and a charity shop find with our friend. So first things first, turtle cups with all the 4 turtles on from America. Our friend picked me up.
Yeah, am I drinking out of a Uhura?
Bit different. A 48-piece puzzle from Turtles as well, which is something a bit different as well.
Cool.
And then basically from the RSPCA shop, it's one of the new Fortnite figures.
Okay. It should be dancing.
You know,
Surely it should be dancing at all times.
perfectly easy, pretty decent, clean tail, but the only thing, he's lost his tail.
Oh dear. Oh.
You know, I'm not too
Oh.
fussed. Yeah, that guy there. But if I took you mine, will you took me yours? Right. And literally, that's all the guys picked up. So, you know.
Okay. I'm just looking at his comments.
So, David, has that me got you into picking up Fortnite stuff now?
Oh dear.
If I come across it, it's one of them things, Baz. If you come across it cheap in the shop, you'll pick it up.
Definitely.
You know.
Hasbro have that license now, don't they?
But I think Baz picked up one of the Hasbro ones from, was it, what shop was it the other day, Baz? That Fortnite figure, the Hasbro one?
Oh,
It's behind you on your shelf.
Ripley.
Oh right, okay. Yeah,
That's the
Hasbro
Hasbro one.
basically just trying to assimilate everything in sight for when they lose Star Wars.
The only reason I like this guy is because if you take his helmet off, man, it just looks like his head's floating on his body.
It looks like Murph. Do you guys know who
Put it with
Murph
the
is?
breeze. There you go.
Do you know who Murph is?
You're talking
No.
about the plasticine guy, or we're talking something.
No, totally understand where you're coming from.
No,
I've
Murph
got
is,
Murph over there if he helps.
Murph is a blob from Star Trek Prodigy.
And they released photos of the new waves of figures.
Figures, yeah.
They look good.
So look, there's the first wave of figures from Star Trek Prodigy are out before Christmas. Um,
In the UK.
Yes, and at which point I'm hoping to God we actually have Star Trek Prodigy available to watch in the UK by that point, because that would probably help.
It might help. You know, if you want to
A
sell
little
toys coming up to Christmas,
Yeah,
advertise them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you guys know about Star Trek Prodigy?
Perfectly honest, guys, we don't know too much about Star Wars, Star Trek that much. Perfectly honest.
It's a new
Transformers, we know time of it. Star Trek, if I spot them in the shops, I'll pick them up. Perfectly honest, like all I've found at the moment is like 5, 6 figures. I've only found 3, which is 3 different companies. You got the little Mezco one, is it? From back in the day.
Yeah.
Mega
You know.
3.5 motion picture.
It's funny because Americans call it Mego, Mego, and we call it Mego.
Yeah. And then basically you got one of the Playmates figures I found just in the collection.
That was the first time they scaled up in solid class, which was for First Contact.
Yeah.
And then basically it's like the Enterprise, is it? You know, the weird dancing one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Art Asylum.
Yeah, with all the rubberiness.
Yeah. That was.
It's only rubber from his knee, his shorts, but be interesting if he came off. It's like what's there.
See, that was the first wave of figures as the Independents, because that one they actually did 2 of, because they did that as a separate figure and they did that one on the bridge.
Yeah.
But then the second wave, which everybody thinks is the first wave, is them in the spacesuits.
Yeah.
Which were beautiful figures. They were really nicely done.
But it was worth getting the ones with the bits of bridge.
Yeah, because you could met the whole bridge up. It was
They
nice.
had electronics in them.
It was actually a double sale because you bought the figures first because the figures were out first, and then you bought the bridge with the
double
free
dipping
figure.
with Star Trek.
Double
products.
dipping? No,
No, he said after having bought things on 4K, after having them on Blu-ray and DVD and VHS and Laserdisc.
I was about to say, you skipped one, didn't you? Because you didn't bother with the beta stuff, you heathen.
Yeah.
And don't forget there was 2 different reel-to-reel sizes because you had the 8mm and the 16.
Well, yeah. Right. Yeah, Wrath of Khan was actually was the biggest selling video, VHS video that was made available to the general public, wasn't it? Mm. Because it was the first one was below $20.
That was the very first pan and scan laser disc I ever imported.
Really? Fair enough.
Back in the day.
So technically, guys, then, do you want question? We can ask you like a load of questions on Star Trek or Transformers. What do you guys want first, Transformers or Star Trek? You decide.
You go for it. Whichever you want to ask first. And for an extra challenge, he gets to answer the Transformers questions first.
No. I will observe and drink. That's my.
Wait, then. We know you like your cup of tea. Then that's just right. Then. Right, Transformers.
Yeah, Star Trek. What is your favorite captain?
Sorry, say again.
Who's your favorite Star Trek captain?
Oh dear. Yeah, Riker. Because I can get away with that now.
Kirk. It's always been Kirk. It's always been Kirk, but I've got to admit, Pike is really
the new Pike.
The new Pike is good. But Captain Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a bit of a Riker fan, and he's got the Titan, so that's all good. As well as Zhang Yi in Picard. But if you're going to go with leads from TV shows, then it's probably going to be Picard for me.
That's why he wears the tea coat. He's hiding the haircut.
Right, there's a two-part Star Trek question then.
Okay.
One, I don't know the full series inside and out from start to beginning. Like you got Star Wars and that sort of stuff. They've done prequels, before prequels, that sort of stuff. In the Star Trek universe, how is it running? Which order now? Like from the original movies, the TV series, the whole lot.
Okay,
so I know, like the Enterprise, is that series the Enterprise like started it?
You start with Discovery.
No.
Then Enterprise, although it's in a different universe timeline.
No, it's not.
Then it would be technically it is.
No.
Season 1 and 2 of Discovery is pre-TOS.
Yeah, so is Enterprise. Way pre-TOS.
Yes, but Enterprise is in a different timeline.
No, it's not.
They tried to roll it into the canon, but it didn't. Yeah.
Enterprise is Archer's mentioned in.
Oh, he's mentioned.
Discovery.
Yeah, but he's still on a different timeline.
Okay, what do you want? Do you want this in order? You should watch them or order of chronology.
It's a complicated question.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, chronology-wise, it's Enterprise.
Basically, if you was like watching like Star Wars, for example, you'd watch episodes 1, 2, 3, Clone Wars, then
right.
Like, in like order.
In that case,
TV series to go with them, all that sort of stuff.
Enterprise, TOS, TNG.
This is the problem. Is there's too much time travel.
You're way too much time travel,
which stuffs it. Because Enterprise can't happen until First Contact's happened and the ships come back in time.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, basically it boils down to this. You're better off watching them in the order they were made. So
yeah, it makes slightly more sense that way. But if you're going to watch them in chronological order, assuming we go with where it's actually based in the timeline without any of the changes, it's Enterprise first. Then you want to watch The Cage, which was the first pilot to the original series. Then you want to watch Discovery seasons 1 and 2. Then you'll want to watch Strange New Worlds when that's out.
Yeah.
Then you're going to want to watch the original series. Then the first 6 films. Okay. Then it's Next Gen. And while you're watching Next Gen, as you reach season 6 of Next Gen, you need to start watching Deep Space Nine alongside it because they interleave. Then by the time Next Gen finishes, you go to Generations while you're watching Deep Space Nine.
And you have to put Voyager in to see. Yeah,
and then DS9 and Voyager actually coexist for a little while as well. Star Trek Insurrection actually takes place during the war in Deep Space Nine. And Nemesis takes place
which makes no sense. It has to be specified. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it seems a bit out of place.
It is that.
And then Star Trek Nemesis happens after the end of Voyager. Okay.
And what about like the new motion picture films like Into the Darkness they did with the new cast, new stuff? Different timeline.
Actually, the easiest thing to do would be decide why you're going to watch them. So if you're watching them because you want to immerse yourself in Trek, all your friends are talking about, it's what all the cool kids are doing, then, you pick up with one of these. So I always say, if you're a young lady in your late teens, early 20s, you should start very strongly with Voyager and then go back to Next Gen and then just decide what you want to do. But always start with Voyager, where if you're a guy in, say, your 30s or 40s, you start with TNG, maybe DS9, depending on the kind of story arcs you like. But nobody ever starts with like Enterprise or
a load of people. There's a lot of new fans who came in through the Kelvin movies.
Yeah, loads. And then we're really disappointed when they started dipping into the different. So
I don't know. There's quite a lot of people I know who got in through the Kelvin movies and started watching TOS and found it wonderful.
You know what? everybody I've spoken to who did it the TOS way enjoyed it, but too many of them started with the new stuff. They went for
that doesn't
and
work.
it just
Those 3 new movies, when they hit, they were quite popular because of the bits. And also, like Discovery at the moment. Star Trek Discovery, where it's just come
we're
out.
getting 4 more of those, and we're getting 3 more. Sorry, 3 more of those, and we're getting 4 new franchise bits.
So basically, you've got to bear in mind that Star Trek 2009 happens because after Nemesis, some form of peace agreement is brokered by Riker aboard the Titan. And then they find that the star is about to go to supernova and destroy Romulus. So Spock and the Vulcan High Command try and create a scientific method of stopping that explosion, destroying Romulus. It fails, and the guys aboard the Narada get thrown back in time along with Spock, which starts off the 2009 film.
Right.
So,
which is the reboot technically for that time. That's why we call it the Calvin universe.
Because it's the Kelvin gets destroyed at the beginning of the first of the movies.
Which is a shame because that had a really nice captain.
It's like variants in Loki.
Yeah.
That's where a variant happened.
Yeah. Not like the COVID variants, but it's in Trek world.
Yeah. We won't go.
The second part, then, we've seen like influxes in like the Toys That Made Us series.
Yes.
Where they've done like Star Trek from the first series, was it?
Yeah.
Did like the toy prices in that the Star Trek realm or the Star Trek world or the universe you collectors are in? Did those prices fluctuate up, or is it still?
Most of them are going up.
Okay, so
Most of the stuff you're going up now.
Yeah.
Trek merchandise generally, when it comes to the action figures, tends to be on a level plane, and it hits little peaks when new shows come out or when things like the Toys That Made Us and when those sort of things. But it tends to drop down and stay on quite a steady plane for most of the collecting things. The only ones that are experiencing any particular shift at the moment are Playmates, but that's because of all the hype about the new Playmate toys. But again, that one's always been, it'll drop back down. The handful of really collectible Trek toys that have ever been are just solids. They stay because we stay, basically.
Yeah, this year is going to be an interesting one to follow. However,
so much new stuff.
Because one, you've got so much new Trek coming out.
And just unbelievable amounts of new Trek.
Because for Paramount Plus, Paramount Global as it now is, it was Viacom CBS until last week, have made the decision to try and produce one brand new episode of Star Trek every year. Okay?
For the foreseeable future.
Okay, so at the moment, they've got Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds is about to start. There's a Starfleet Academy show coming. There's the Section 31 show coming. And there's bound to be something spinning off from Picard because they're only doing 3 seasons of that because Sir Patrick is not up for doing any more, which is fair enough.
But Jerry is.
Jerry most definitely is. So, yes. Now, that also is tied in quite nicely because when CBS and Viacom re-merged, it was 18 months ago now, they actually set up a new licensing team.
No.
Who basically
are enthusiastic bunnies.
Very enthusiastic bunnies. And what they did is they re-examined all of the current licensing deals, realized that McFarlane was doing nothing, and that McFarlane cancelled the Discovery phaser, for instance. Because
and that was a tragedy beyond belief.
Gorgeous. And that's why Playmates have now got the Master Toy license.
Because,
they're coming to Playmates in a minute. It's like, what do you guys think of the new Playmates ship and the sound effects and everything else?
Well,
so Playmates have got some really good vehicles coming.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be an absolute ton of stuff coming because loads of other companies have now got licenses as well. So Mego have got. I've still got a license. Have you seen the dolls in B&M?
Yeah.
There's going to be a load more of those. They're doing them for Discovery as well as Next Gen. And
It's kind of funny you mentioned the B&Ms because I'm going to show the one I went and picked up, and it was the only one I wanted. So I'll show that well.
Cool. But yes, because there's so much Trek coming out, and it's been incredibly successful, and it's basically what's driving Paramount Plus for its global rollout. It's going to be everywhere. By the end of this year, you won't be able to move for Trek stuff.
The question is then, if you wanted to get into Star Trek, I know this is going to be, like you saying, it's going to be an absolute amazing year.
Yeah.
I know for a fact there is a lot of Star Trek merchandise out there.
Yeah.
It's not like Star Wars where there's billions of figures.
Yeah.
But I know the Star Trek, there's a lot of figures, a lot of companies. Where would you start if you're thinking of starting a collection? Where would you start? Would you start with the Playmobil, or would you try and track back down the Playmates or that sort of stuff? Where could you start with not spending too much money, but if you want to get into the line of Star Trek?
Playmates. The new Playmates figures that are coming out later this year, they're going to be priced at $12.99 a shot.
To be fair, you'd be okay picking up most of the retro ones, most of the original runs, because you can still get them in packaging at a decent price.
Will they still be like the same as articulation and like detailed like these ones? It's like the twist there, the twist there.
The new ones, well, they've not been released, but the artwork indicates that they will be, and they're using newer construction methods. So whilst there's arguability over the life expectancy of the life expectancy of the product once it's been played with, but in its packaging, it's solid.
I mean, this is the thing: is they've, as you know, they've already shown off pictures of the Enterprise, which looks like it's the same molding as the early one, with some changes. But the electronics have got no idea.
It's same as the phaser. It's deceptive. Yeah. You go and go, oh, that's a re-release, and it's not a re-release.
I mean, the phaser, the phaser looks very, very similar to the Playmates phaser from.
But all the new stuff is literally slight tweaks to it, slight different molding, slight different sounds for the new series.
Completely different molding, completely different.
Not like another toy company we're going to talk about in about 10 minutes' time. You mean?
Well, yeah.
But
it's an interesting thing. I mean, if you want the action figures, then I would go Playmates. Check out Playmates toys at toy fairs and things like that, certainly. And if you like your starships, you can't really go wrong with a load of Eagle Moss stuff, frankly.
Remember they did that the TV news agent series, didn't they? Every couple of weeks or week ago, went down the news agent, picked up a brand new ship or Borg or magazine. That went pretty well, didn't they?
Yeah, they went up to 180 issues
from the original specified 80.
60.
60.
So there was 180 issues of that collection. Then there's the 30th special's just been announced, which is the Caretaker array,
which is gorgeous.
Yep.
And they very cleverly they changed their business model a couple of years ago. So from receiving the original just a plain blue box with a bubble on top and have the ship inside, now you get specialized packaging with artwork and all the rest of it. You don't need to take the ship out of the box.
Yeah.
So you know
what they've essentially done is they've gone back and taken the hero ships from that collection and reboxed them.
Yeah.
No, not just have you seen the new waves? It's not just the heroes; they are now trickling through some of the.
Depends on your definition of hero ship.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it's like HMVs carry them.
Yeah.
So do you guys think the old toys then will come back up in value if they're going to reissue them this year for Playmates then?
They've not really gone down in value, to be fair.
No, I mean, I would expect certain ones will rock it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely ones
like,
that'll be ridiculous.
Things like Thomas Riker.
Data in Redemption.
Picard from All Good Things.
Picard from Tapestry.
All that kind of stuff.
with the exception of Tasha.
So yeah, it'll be a case of if it's a figure that was produced in huge amounts, it'll hold its value. If it's a figure that wasn't, it's gonna.
I did like the picture. Sorry, I did like that picture of Sarah's dinosaur coming out with Boris. That was quite cool. Baz, you got any questions about Star Trek before we move on to the main subject?
Not really, no.
No.
You got that Star Trek figure to hand, that B&M one, dude.
So this is the only one I wanted. So
Is it?
Dave,
It's
mate.
cute.
wait a minute, I'll put
Oh,
them
the
in.
Gorn!
It's a Gorn.
He's gone again.
Only
I'm
one I
already-
wanted.
Yeah.
Are you right? From?
What did that share with the original?
Yeah, the body.
It's the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Klingon one was basically the Klingon figure was basically
The
Dr.
yeah, the
Zayas or
original
something.
ones,
Right.
yeah. No,
Dr.
they.
Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
I'll be fair. Not only are they really good figures, but they're an excellent size for if you're doing other things. Like for instance, keep them entertained. Or be 2 seconds.
One thing to avoid though is the Mugatu, because for some reason instead of doing a proper Mugatu, they did one in like 70s disco gear. No idea why.
We were kind of still talking about Star Trek. The only other kind of carded Star Trek figure I've got is this one.
Or like Ilea.
Oh, Eileen, and she's got the first parts of the probe. Very
Ooh,
nice.
yeah.
That was excellent, because if you bought the whole range of those figures, the little extra bits that were with it meant that you could build Vija.
Voyager 6.
Voyager
Yeah,
6,
Voyager
yeah.
6. Yeah.
So one of the things I like about the reissue technically and the new imaginings for the Mego figures is the fact that I collect many of the figures, and one of my favorite film franchises of all time. See if anybody recognizes this one.
I know what it is, I just can't remember the name.
Yeah.
From
Billie
Fantastic
Eilish.
Caroline. And
Billie Eilish.
say again, no.
Is it Billie Eilish? It
Well,
looks like Billie Eilish, because I know they did some Billie Eilish films.
it's the hair.
It's
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So I'm a real big fan of Neil Gaiman's work, and I loved this film. It's fantastic claymation. But when they released this wave of figures, they did really great things. Like they gave her clear hair, which translucent hair, so she showed up. And I thought it was so fantastic that when they released the Mego figures, I went and got one of the spare dolls and created my own little Discovery version of Caroline, because it just seemed like the right thing to do.
We
So,
are talking about someone who puts, Kermit in.
Well, perfect. At least you got the same hair colour, so yes.
He's blowing that story wrong. So this is what happened one moment.
Yes, he's into his Muppets. Yeah.
Well, yes, I've been friends with you for many years. So for most people are aware, not all people, but most people are aware, that Build-A-Bear get franchises from different companies, and they release Hello Kitty bears and Star Trek bears and so on. So a few years ago, they released Muppets. And I went and picked a few of those up. And then when they announced that they were doing Star Trek ones, people were like, oh, I bet you're going to have all of those. And I actually queued. And they're like, why?
So you went like this?
It was so I could get the official uniform so that I could have Kermit the Frog.
What we need now is an Ed Mercer standee to go with it.
You can leave him on screen if you want, trust me.
I'm going to opt for no on the basis that video footage lasts forever on YouTube and various platforms. And I've already had people come up to me at events going, do you remember saying this? And it's like, no, because I was quite drunk when we filmed that.
Or he's had people coming up to him and saying, it's so nice of you to do these videos with your son.
Yeah.
He's 3 months younger than me. I love that.
Actually, it always amazes me when people think I record these in my nan's house.
Yeah.
That always used to get on
you've got rid of the
I got rid of the dragons. I got rid of the dragons.
Yeah. Because you're probably aware that we've got our own YouTube channel and it's been running for so long. We're actually in the process of filming series 10. So just to be scary, it's ridiculous. But hey ho, we're just dropping the reactions because we can't do reactions, can we?
No. Well, correction, we can, but people aren't entertained.
No.
I don't know what it is about watching two blokes in their 40s go. That isn't as riveting as watching, an 18-year-old girl going.
Shocking.
Yeah, funny. It is because I've got quite a nice, Since I've been,
Your choice.
yeah, it's the choice.
Yeah.
Okay, just before we move on to the other subject, I've got two last questions for Star Trek.
Okay, go on.
Do you think the Star Trek universe and fans liked where they did crossovers in Turtle figures back in the 92?
Yes.
You know,
Turtles, yeah.
also like Mega Blocks with Mega Constructs, they did like the Lego / Star Trek building, Star Trek toys.
Yeah.
You know, anything else you'd like to see them collaborate with, or anything in the future you'd like to see Star Trek go into? I know, like, wrestling went into Star Trek, because I know certain wrestlers went to Star Trek and crossed.
Okay,
crossover.
I have a question for you then, which is, do you know they did Trek Transformers?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Do you? Because they never got released.
Were released,
I know they did like a Star Trek Enterprise prototype once. I remember seeing a picture once ages ago where the Enterprise itself transformed, but it never went to final stage because there's a few little bits they couldn't get right.
That was back when Hasbro had the license for Into Darkness, and they produced their Lego. Well, they're not Lego sets.
Yeah.
Which
Mega Blocks Constructs.
Yeah. Well, it was Creo. It was Hasbro's own Creo stuff.
I like the Creo.
It was all right, but there's a company called Blue Bricks in Germany who now have the license to do.
Oh, they are
Trek.
releasing the most amazing thing.
Yeah, they're doing Star Trek bricks over in Germany, but they can't ship them to the UK at the moment, which is a bit of a pain.
We find that with a lot of companies. There's a lot of toys out there that's one of the things. Do you find the same with Star Trek toys, where you might find it like on the internet, but you can't physically get it in around the world?
Thank you, Brexit.
Every September.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that is a bit of a pain in the ass. I mean, I'd love to see them do Fortress Tiberius from the Star Trek Transformers comic. That would be awesome.
I know. I think they did. I think the other Transformer I think they were thinking of is like the Borg cube. I think they was thinking of running through a Transformer as well, which is very close to it. So.
It was basically going to be a crossovers line of Transformers and Star Trek together, but it just got canned because the Trek stuff that Hasbro did do just didn't do anything sales wise for them.
Yeah, but in all fairness, it was their fault.
It was their fault. They overpriced. Well, this is the thing. This is in the States, it was underpriced. Over here, it was overpriced.
Yeah.
And you ended up with pallets and pallets and pallets of unsold stuff over in the States when you couldn't get them over here, for instance. So it was just ridiculous. And then when Mega Bloks got the license after that, have you guys seen the big Enterprise that they did? Yeah, which should retail for about £200 to £300.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting in TK Maxx for 60 or something like that. And they were actually, it did so badly for them. There were actually people selling pallets of them in the States, and they were working out at virtually nothing each. $5 pop. And it was just like,
isn't it? You just don't know what to expect, what's going to turn up or anything. So
quite. But
the last question on Star Trek before we move on to the other thing, Dave, you've got quite a very small collection of pin badges. I've heard.
I got one or two.
Only a small little second.
One or two, yeah.
Do you want to show that off now, or do you want to leave it to like the end of the stream so we've got something to come back to? It's up to you.
It'd have to be photos because there's no way for me to actually show them. Actually, no, there's no way of showing it off physically.
You haven't gone to hand or nothing. I know you've got quite an impressive array of, like you said, you showed you bought the jumper just for a pin badge. So you must have a medium-sized collection.
I've got a medium-sized collection.
Yeah.
You might want to take some photos in a bit.
I'll take some photos and I'll the Sven will figure out how to get it. But yeah, I'll take some pictures in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a fair collection of them, which I have them in carry cases, so we take them to events because I've got a load of official stuff and I've got fan-made stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's this thing where a lot of fan clubs actually make their own badges, which aren't the same as the official ones, but signify their ship, which is, really, really nice to see. So, I mean, this is the thing. We've got that. That's the Geekology from the USS Geekology, which is a ship aboard based off Birmingham, which is the club we run.
Which is part of
Nice.
Starfleet International.
Yeah.
And that
And
is
is that all on the geekology.org.uk or site or Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, if you find us, it's all linked together. You'll find links.
You guys have like a pub meeting and with a few of your friends every so often as well. And
now you say a few. It was the Christmas one. We had 30 people up.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're
technically there's quite a big Star Trek-y fans out there. I remember going to Vegas once and they did the big Star Trek convention in Vegas. All the big stars were in Vegas. It's one of them multiple little series that's underrated, I think, sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But when there's like a movie pops up in the cinema, it's plastered everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Birmingham's quite an interesting place for Trek because we've had, going back into the early 80s, it's where there was a convention on at the Grand Hotel in Birmingham.
Yes.
Every year for loads of years. And then, of course, Destination Star Trek was here for a while before it got pulled back down to London.
Star Trek The Adventure, when it was released in the UK.
And so on and so forth. So there is a groundswell in the West Midlands, especially for
we
Trek.
expect to blow up this year, probably with Star Trek, with all the stuff coming out then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when Paramount Plus becomes available, marketing for that alone is just going to grab a
mind-boggling.
It's alone will make us.
Thank you, Mr. Ferengi. Yes.
Baz, you got any Star Trek questions, or do you want to let's move on to the next subject?
I'm fine. I've got nothing else for Star Trek. I'm kind of more interested in the Star Trek.
The next section.
I'm going to take pictures while you do that and top up my drink. I'll be back.
Go and make me a cup of tea, please, Dave. Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Hello.
Right, can you give us once again, start from the beginning all the way to present day Transformers? You don't need to go every single series, but once again, how it fits into the franchise?
Are we
Transformers?
TV shows or comics or it's
basically you've done toy lines, Baz?
Yeah, we'll stick with toy lines because
if you stick to toy lines, you'd probably be a bit more interesting. It's basically one of the questions I got for you as well, Ben. Why is original Transformers called G1 now and G2? That sort of stuff. Because instead of like Masters of Euro's Origins or Classics, they called it now G1. But
yeah, we were the first ones to call anything G1.
So explain the toy history of Transformers plus why it's called G1 if you know.
The first 3 years of Transformers, bar some extra molds, were created from 2 toy lines that Takara did. There was Diaclone and there was Micro Change, which was a spin-off from Micro Man. Okay. The Micro Change toys were like the cassettes, the guns, that kind of thing. So your Soundwave, your Megatron, so on and so forth. And the Diaclone were the cars, essentially, and the jets and the Dinobots, as were. So what Hasbro did is that they saw these, one of their agents saw those at the Tokyo Toy Fair and looked at licensing them and then literally took the toy designs to Marvel Comics to come up with the names and the backstories for each of the characters. So, for instance, I'm trying to remember his name, but there was a member of staff at Marvel who called Optimus Prime, and that literally is Latin for the first and best leader. So that makes sense. Yeah. And then it went on from there. The original tech specs and bio profiles then fed into the comic and then fed into the TV show, but the TV show ignored most of the tech specs, which was mildly annoying, which is why there's such a difference between the characterizations on the boxes, characterizations in the comics and the characterizations in the cartoons. So Starscream is not a coward in the other 2 media, which is why it gets all very complicated. He's actually a vicious killer in the comic. So it's
completely different to the cartoons. Then it's like other series where Japanese like really more violent, but over here they tame it down, or America tame it down, and we get the baby version.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Shockwave is another example of that, because in the original tech spec on the back of the box, it actually said that he wanted to replace Megatron as leader of the Decepticons. It didn't say that on, no, it did say that on Starscream, but less so. But Shockwave was supposed to be the military operations commander for the Decepticons, not some bodyguard who was left behind on Cybertron to look after the planet.
But to be fair, they did that in the Gold Key comics for Star Trek, because Dr. McCoy in the comics was bloodthirsty and really gunning, because character tech specs are always fun.
But G1 ran. Now this is where debate starts.
Yeah.
What we now refer to as G1 has a different meaning for different people, which is very confusing. Now, G1 in the UK, the toy line, started in 1984.
Yeah.
Hasbro themselves think it only started in 1985 here, which is wrong.
If it makes it easier, Sven, just do the American days to forget about the Japanese stuff. Just do the American stuff.
No, the problem is the Americans didn't get everything.
Yeah. I know that we don't get everything still over in the UK, so there you go.
Yeah, but we were going longer than they were. So we went from 84 through to 93 for G1. Okay, so it went from Optimus Prime being the commander through to Pyro and Thunderclash.
Yeah.
Being the commanders. That was all G1, including Headmasters, Target Masters, Pretenders, Micromasters, Predators, Turbo Masters, and so on and so forth. And in Japan, they actually had lines that included toys like Star Convoy, Grandus, Sky Gary, because they spelt carry wrong.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
Things like that. So this range consists of hundreds of toys that were released from 84 through to 93. Now, in the States, Transformers G1 finished in around about in 1990, 1991 with Action Masters.
Yeah.
Because someone came up with a brilliant idea of creating a Transformers line of Transformers that didn't transform. Shockingly, didn't do well. You might have seen that coming. And then in the States, in 1992, while we still had G1, they did test launch of something called Generation 2, Transformers Generation 2. The first few toys in that were essentially repaints of G1 toys. So they reissued Optimus Prime, but with a black trailer and a voice box that plugged onto the front of it, which said, "I am Optimus Prime," in some very strange voice. There was also, they reissued Starscream and Ramjet from the 84 and 85 line, but with very strange colouring, and a noise box that clipped on the top with the sounds of a jet plane and firing. These were test marketed in the States in 1992, but actually went out to full retail in 93 in the States. We didn't get them until 94. Okay, by which time they'd also introduced a new version of Optimus Prime, which is the Laser Rod, or it's now referred to as the Laser Optimus Prime. But it was the introduction of Generation 2 that basically resulted in the original Transformers series being referred to as G1. Okay, and then from then onwards, you've also got, you'll hear terms like G1.5, which tends to be what the Americans call the G1 stuff we got that they didn't. Things like that.
And people wonder why I drink when he goes on this.
Yeah. G2 was fairly short-lived.
Yeah.
It had all sorts of weird and wonderful like play features and this, that, and the other. They were trying to do much more posable figures by the time it ended as well. And then we moved. Then they basically handed, because they thought it had got too dry with just vehicles, they then handed it over to Kenner, who was part of Hasbro by that point, and told to run with it, do something different, and here's the sales figures for stuff back in G1 and some of G2, which showed that things like the Dinobots really, really sold.
They were cool, though. To be fair.
Yes. So, as a result, Kenner restructured it as Beast Wars.
Yes.
So you've got basically in the TV show, there were essentially the size of Micromasters from G1, but in fur coats. Which and they used in the TV show they were using the organic outer to shield them from energy on the planet that they were on, which you then later found out was actually Earth in the past. Because in season 2 they found the Ark and all the G1 Transformers from the original series,
Which is the yellow ship.
which was fun.
Yeah.
Beast Wars.
The Ark, the big yellow ship one.
Yeah, that's the Ark. So basically,
not the Ark in the other thing.
The big yellowy orange ship in the TV show. It was silver.
Crossing the mountain. There's a big place set out to be right now that transforms into a robot that's quite.
Yes. Remind me, where do the Rocklings fit in?
The Rocklings could go away. That's GoBots. Stop it.
I'm sorry.
But the worst thing is that Hasbro own the GoBots now. So.
Oh God, no! No, there's a crossover going to happen.
Yeah, we'll come to we'll come on to Transformers Armada in a few minutes. So the Beast Wars was then followed by Beast Machines, which died horribly from a sales point of view. And then they hadn't quite got Transformers Armada ready. So what Hasbro then did is they brought in the figures from Takara's Transformers 2000, which is also known as Transformers Car Robots, which was Fire Convoy, X-Brawn, and so on and so forth, which were basically very Japanese figures. But they rebranded them as Fire Convoy as Optimus Prime, so it was the first time Optimus Prime was a fire truck. And released those over here and in the States as Transformers Robots in Disguise 2001, because there's been another Robots in Disguise since then, so we have to put the 2001 at the end. Once they'd gone through that and Armada was ready, that was the one when they introduced the Minicons, which were essentially a rebrand of Micromasters, but they combined with the bigger figures. So essentially, Optimus Prime had a figure called Sparkplug, which is interesting because that was the name of one of the characters in G1. But this is a sort of like Bumblebee-esque minifigure that combined with Optimus to unlock a transformation ability. That was basically the plan. And interestingly, Megatron came with a minicon called Leader 1, which is of course the leader of the GoBots, the good guy GoBots in.
So that's how that started and crossed over. Yeah,
that's when they started assimilating the names. There was actually in G2 there was a British-led toy that was a color changer that I think was called Speedstream over here. I'm not probably remembering it wrong, but it was called GoBots in the States.
Yeah.
Just after they bought Tonka, which is how they got the names from GoBots. So then you got from Armada, you went to Energon, Transformers Energon, and then Transformers Cybertron. That makes up the Unicron trilogy. So there was loads of figures in that. The video game started getting very interesting at that point because the Transformers Armada video game, which wasn't called Transformers Armada, on the PlayStation 2 was awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliantly done. Then after Cybertron, we were starting to see things from the live action movies. So things were starting to get confusing in the toy lines because Hasbro essentially decided it might be a really good idea to split the toy lines down into ages. So you ended up with things starting to go in different directions. What we now refer to as Transformers Classics and Transformers Universe, which are generally referred to as Chug as a whole these days, is basically what we have as Generations now, Transformers Generations lines, which are aimed at sort of like senior school and to adult collectors. Basically, that's who that range is aimed at.
And who are the Transformer heroes aimed for?
The robot heroes.
The robot heroes, yes. Who are those aimed for, Sven?
Okay.
Remind me.
There was robot heroes and there's the rescue bots.
I forgot about the rescue bots.
Now, rescue bots is still going on. This is when they started looking at things like that.
They'd actually kid friendly, that sort of stuff. Nice, so they can transform quite quick.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff. Isn't it? Yeah.
To be fair, they did have what were the little ones that pulled back and flipped and transformed? They were fun.
Oh God,
We like them as one-step changes. That's all we know them as. So
Yeah, I mean,
one step or like, as you said, three-step changer, that sort of stuff. It's
yeah.
No,
Right,
listen,
you
don't
know,
get me
you know.
wrong. I am not slagging those off. They're the only range they've ever released that I am 50% sure I can get right.
Okay, yeah.
it's one of the
But-
things. If you want to give like a transformer to like one of your young ones and that sort of stuff, you get the GoBots, that sort of stuff out, wouldn't you? The chunkier ones, three-step
like-
changes, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
If
this
you
is
want
the
the proper ones, you get
go on.
them to yourself or collectors, that sort of stuff. You know,
Okay. I mean, what basically happened there is that they handed over. They actually did my first Transformers a few years before that, which was actually three different Transformers that were in the Play School range. They updated that a bit to create Play School GoBots at that around about then. I think it was around about then when you had like the cute little Cheetor, the cute version of Jetfire, that kind of thing, which were really easy to transform. I mean, Cheetor basically stood up from cat mode. But that was they were very much aimed at the preschoolers, and that's what slowly morphed into what we now know as Rescue Bots over time. But that they basically Rescue Bots is essentially a bunch of characters who are training on Earth, so they're basically learning. They're school kids essentially, and then Optimus Prime and Bumblebee turn up from time to time, and then suddenly get reformatted as dinosaurs. It's a fun little line, and if you know, it's something that a 2-3-year-old absolutely loves. It's a stunning.
They're bright colours and they're robots and vehicles. What's
awesome.
not to love?
So that around about just before the 2007 live action movie came out, this is when they started looking at how to approach the fact that this is going to be a multiverse. This is going to be bigger than just one toy line.
Yeah, but they introduced bad things into that because then you ended up with Transformers that didn't transform.
Yeah, well, we had that in the 90s.
Yeah, but it looked worse than the movie ranges.
if they can make a book, Hasbro can make a book with any Transformer, they'll make a book these day and age. Trust me.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
You know,
so
perfect. You know, it's one of the questions I'll come on to in a bit when Sven's finished. He's a question something similar to that. So,
yeah, I mean, what then happened is essentially they even with the movie toys, they split them down into ones for little ones, ones for older kids, and ones for collectors.
Seriously.
Which basically morphed into where we are now.
Didn't they, for the serious collectors, they did two ranges, didn't they? Because they did the Ultimate statue and the really expensive collector ones, and then they did that little mini range, didn't they?
Well, they did essentially did what is now Generations and did what is Masterpiece, essentially.
I have to say, when it comes to Transformer toys, I love the Masterpiece.
Yeah. So it was around about then that they were looking at all sorts of weird, wonderful things. We just had the 20th anniversary Optimus Prime Masterpiece, which had been released in Japan right at the end of 2003 and was released in the States in 2004 and released late here. But it had its smokestacks cut off and was only through Toys R Us. They also introduced things called vinyl techs and alternators.
Yeah.
Not by the vinyl tech.
Yeah. So essentially it was multi-threaded.
Yeah.
So you had the Play School range, whichever one it was, when it went from GoBots to Rescue Bots over time. You had the junior school age Transformers, which was like your Transformers Prime, your Bumblebee Adventures, Cyberverse, all that kind of thing over the years. Okay. Then you've got what is now referred to as Generations, which is
it the Netflix series and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So following, basically, it was all a bit of a mess during the movies. Basically, while the Michael Bay movies were being done,
it looked a bit like a free for all.
It was a free for all. The marketing just hadn't been streamlined properly, and it got very confusing and very complicated. Until
there was like 3 or 4 toy lines of Transformers out each year.
Yeah,
and it was like to keep up with it. It's literally Transformers. Is it correct? Where you collect virtually nothing else because the line now is that
exactly.
You know, it's scary, isn't it? How big Transformers you can go into, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is the thing. Is many years ago, I almost gave up collecting Transformers entirely because I knew there's no way I could ever get a full set. It's impossible.
Even if you wanted all the Bumblebees or the Optimus Primes, you could just fill a whole house just full of Bumblebees, couldn't you now?
Yeah. Oh, completely. So over the years we've had the Bumblebee movie as well, and they've handled that a little bit more sensibly. But we've basically, in this whole melee, we sort of like came out the other end when they sort of like categorized it down into these 3 streams, and the ones that most of us at our age are probably interested in are the Generations line, which was formalized a bit more with Combiner Wars.
Yes.
And then that was followed by Titan's Return, Power of the Primes, and then we had the War for Cybertron trilogy, which was Siege, and then Earthrise, and then Kingdom.
Why did that get bunny rabbit ears?
I don't know. Felt like it.
I'm just thinking, was there a bunny involved?
Yeah. Meanwhile, we went into the new version of Robots in Disguise, Cyberverse Bumblebee Adventures, and then you've got Robot here, the rescue bots going along,
right.
And also bots. You know bots.
Yeah, I know bots.
Tiny little Transformers that turned into like donuts and samplers and so on and so forth. Which are getting their own show, by the way, on Netflix later this year. They're relaunching bots later this year.
That was one of my questions. Is that what do you think about these bots?
They're cool, but the toys are cool. They're being very clever with how they're marketing the show. They're actually doing it as the first ever Transformers comedy show. I think they're trying to. I think they're taking the idea from Lower Decks, a tad. But yeah, they're doing that. There's also a Nickelodeon show coming, which for some reason the name eludes me. Spark something. That's going to be aimed at the younger kids, and looks like it's kind of replacing Cyberverse Bumblebee Adventures a little bit. And you've also got, of course, the really high-level collector stuff, which Takara tends to put out, which is the Masterpiece stuff, which has been running since 2004. And to give you an idea, the latest launch, well, you saw on that reboost earlier, what was the number on that? That's MP54. It's the 54th toy that was being released. Bearing in mind they've actually done repaints that have been a number with a letter at the end.
They did the A, the B, the C, and the D.
So MP10 Optimus Prime, MP10B Nemesis Prime, MP10G Ghostbusters Prime, so on and so forth.
I did quite well the Ghostbusters, because you got like the Slimer and everything else. You got Jurassic Park's now into Transformers. Yeah. There's a lot of toy lines with Hasbro now coming out with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean they started off with Ectotron,
which was awesome.
That was awesome because the packaging alone was just brilliant. They did the MP10G Optimus. They've done what's his name?
I know they've just recently they've just done the X-Wing from X-Men, the Bluebird from X-Men.
Yeah.
You know, that's the box art on that is just back to the 90s, unreal.
Ready for us to review that at some point. So yeah, that's quite cool. They've done Autobot Maverick from Top Gun Maverick, which came out over a year ago. Shame the movie hasn't hit yet. They did the DeLorean from Back to the Future. They've done Dracula. They've used a repaint of Mindwipe.
Can I just comment on somebody's just
go for it.
They've just started and they're limiting themselves to the Netflix thing. If you're a collector of anything and you want to limit yourself to one specific thing, great. It's at the end of the day, I collect so much weird shit that, you know, I mean, I used to be a completist. I was a real thing for being a completist, and I used to get every variant, every color, and then you know what? Now I just go for whatever sparks joy. And if collecting that whole range from the Netflix thing is the thing that's bringing you joy, great. You don't have to collect all the Transformers. You don't have to collect all of one range, all of one character. Yeah. You can either, I call it, Oh no!
Select what you like and
spot
walk away
picking
from the
when-
rest.
That's it. Just get what you really
the
enjoy.
love of God cherry pick things because with Transformers, if you try and collect all the Transformers,
You'll
you will
go
go
mad.
mad. I mean,
You'll
look
go
at the state I'm in. Look at me. You don't want to end up like me.
I realise then basically Transformers is almost like it's Star Trek world because of that now much of Transformers out in the world. You just basically stick to one or two characters and that's it, or you stick to one. Even now, you can't complete a full season because it's that much out.
Transformers beat Star Trek hands down for quantity of merchandise. Okay, I'll admit, we've got like 60 years. Well, we haven't got 55 years of Star Trek stuff, but it's been limited to various companies. Now, granted, there have been different countries which had limited runs of bits and pieces. But if you take one of every single Star Trek thing that has ever been officially licensed, you probably are talking about a quarter of the stuff that Transformers has.
Yeah.
Transformers.
It's one of them mega lines where it's just too much out there, isn't there? Especially if you go into, I'm counting them ahead the other night. I think there's 7 or 8 different knockoff companies, like the metal ones, and they're doing some unbelievable work from the movies. You can't see the seams, the joints, anything in them. They are, and they still transform. You know.
Well, that's one of my questions for the Transformers is what do you think of third-party companies that are making Transformers?
Okay. I'm going to do that because it'll make his head explode. So obviously, Sven is all about the official product.
Yeah.
See, I tend to view it the same as I view Star Trek stuff. I disapprove of direct knockoffs. If a company is producing, say, product A and product A, perfectly good at a reasonable price point being the key word, I will not support a third-party company who are just making blatant copies. There's pointless. If the third company are doing add-ons for this, or they're doing color variants, or it's a toy that hasn't been available for 30 years, and they are very open about the fact that this is a copy just so you can have one, I'm okay with it. He isn't. I get that. Yeah. With the Transformers stuff, my problem with the third party is the fact that whilst they, I mean, like you said for the movie ranges, you're getting beautiful pieces of art that are seamless and transform and are gorgeous. I approve of those because that is taking something and enhancing it to the best you possibly can, whilst there is a financial element for the company involved, obviously. It's more about getting a supreme product rather than a knockoff piece of crap. And unfortunately, in the Trek universe, you get knockoff crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I the only third-party stuff I actually buy myself really are add-ons for official product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, either to replace bits that haven't been included because Hasbro have cost-cutted to try and get to a price point. Because at the end of the day, people have got to bear in mind that Hasbro are producing a range of kid toys at specific price points. There's loads of things they'd love to do. They can't.
Yeah. But to be fair to that, an add-on for an existing toy, I'm 100% okay with, because A, it depends on if you want that add-on, and B, they are not pissing in the pot of the people who are making the toy.
Yeah,
the actual the franchise right holder, if anything, will sell slightly more toys because all the little add-on bits. People
one of the things is when they released Devastator, they released an add-on kit for third party. You can have more articulated fists.
Well, they've done
personal choice, isn't it?
They've actually there's a new upgrade kit with that you actually get a proper posable from wheelie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is also how guys you want to take it, and that's it's Transformers. You can stick to just Hasbro, and you'll never collect everything. But then there's the third parties, the 7 other companies that do them around the world. That it's just ridiculous. And then basically, like Sven said, you can just collect just American or just UK releases, which is ridiculous. When it comes to like, you know, something like the Transformers, it's more or less down to
I mean, the thing is,
and that sort of stuff. You know, the
Yeah.
Japanese still
A
do it
lot-
right. You know,
a lot of people jump up and down about the third-party stuff, but
Yeah.
if you collect
the
original,
box art is still one of the best in Japan. It's unbelievable.
if you collect original G1 toys and you're not getting the boxed ones, you're getting loose ones.
Yeah.
How else are you meant to get the stickers? How else are you meant to get the little add-on pieces? And so from that perspective,
I mean, the third-party stuff, the actual third-party stuff, where they're just using the likenesses of Hasbro's intellectual property, they can just about get away with, because Hasbro aren't going to be chasing them down because they just don't have the resources to do so.
not worldwide.
Not worldwide. And essentially, and to be honest, Hasbro are learning stuff from them at the same time. But it's not the kind of thing I would go and get, because it's not an
You go,
official.
they evolved with their Transformers instead of, like, I can remember the movies coming out. All they did is basically reissue the same robot, different head, different paint job, and called him something different just to produce toys that didn't appear in the movie.
Yeah,
you know.
But you've got to bear in mind that that's how Transformers started.
Yeah.
Skywalk, Thundercracker, and Starscream are the same toy.
Just different colours, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I've got that with Bumblebee. I must have like at least 50 Bumblebees, and I think every one of them I've got has either got a different marking on it, slight colour change, or
Yes, exactly. I mean, even the G1 Bumblebee toy, that was issued in 84, 85, 86 with very minor differences. There was Bumble Jumper, which is now referred to as Bumper generally, which was an actual different toy from Microchange that got put onto Bumblebee cards.
And can we hold just there for this guy's comment? So, going out to a comment that's just been put on by Lobot, that he hasn't got anything yet because he's trying to concentrate on the vintage stuff for money. Totally understandable. Yep, great. But when finances are tight, it's always a good idea to have a really good look at what your priorities are. So if your priorities are the vintage ones, fair enough. But if you know for a fact you want to collect a specific range, see how that range is going, because if there's one that's a limited run, a special number, a special color, or it's the one that you really like,
grab it.
Pick it while you can. Don't go, I'll prioritize that till later, because sometimes later can cost you more money. It's a weird thing. In life, you are better off prioritizing till later. I do those 20 sit-ups
Only
now?
buy what you can afford at the moment before you get your deep hole pockets. That's especially Transformers and Star Trek. It's like you've only just touched the toys, but then there's like little merchandises from like different companies out there, you know, which you can turn into little robots, and they're quite cute. And there you go.
Yeah. And
you know,
then
there's like Ben's got a cap on, there's T-shirts, mugs, all sorts of stuff. It's ridiculous.
This was actually made for me by a Trek fan, which was quite cool.
Yeah, I love the fact that the Trek fan made him that.
Yeah,
it's a lovely woman as well.
Yeah, she is.
Right.
You know, but it's things like a perfect example of what Dave's just said is in Transformers Masterpiece, Takara's range. Every so often they do some very short run of a new color scheme, and if you don't grab it, then it's going to cost you huge amounts of money down the line, which is, you know, very scary. They've even done special runs of MP10 Optimus Prime to coincide with the NBA and things like that.
It didn't have a sticker run with it.
Perfectly honest, Ben, I've seen like Optimus Prime and one of the series, and I think I've seen the same Optimus Prime about 10 times. Where there's the normal version, there's a clear version, there's the red, there's the dark Optimus, there's the gold one, the silver one.
That's the stuff that always killed me, because you knew
it's just too much at some point. They're releasing too much all at the same time. So we're coming into the last half hour or so, Sven. Do you want to open the chat up? So if Lobot wants to come on, or anyone else want to come on, if Baz wants to put the link up for the last half hour, you guys want to
I just want to show something to Sven. But I've basically bought the set of these. They are third parties. I'll put it on my big screen so you can actually. So I picked up a set of these.
Mini Scorpion on steroids.
So technically, you got
basically
in the wave. You got
Black Zarek.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. So that what's the name of that line? It's they were in the little square box, the little cube boxes, weren't they?
This is what it is here.
Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay. Oh, it's third party. Right. Okay.
So
it almost looks like the real thing, doesn't it? When you look at it at a glance.
They'll have come with like a headmaster that they would come with.
Open that up because that looks like it's caught. Now this is an interesting thing, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's not the same color scheme as the original Gort quite, but what happened here is you're aware of the original Fortress Maximus toy from 1987.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody lost the second headmaster. Yeah. Zach. Well, that's actually from
big, yeah.
But they actually do transform to a degree.
Yeah.
But you get add-on bits, so that's kind of one of them there.
Quite. But what happened there was basically Fortress Maximus was a double headmaster. So the head came off. Stop it. The head came off, transformed into a robot, and the head of that came off and transformed into a robot called. Was it?
Why are you looking at me for the answer?
I can't remember. It was actually Spike. Thinking about it, it's Spike that was Fortress Maximus. It wasn't Gort is Brainstorms or someone.
Right.
There's too many things. Can't remember it all. But basically, that little figure, that little double headmaster figure, got lost. There's so many Fortress Maximuses out there that have got the big head, which just rests on the top, but doesn't click in properly because it hasn't got the little head plugged into the bottom of it to click in to the top of the Fort Max toy. So third parties doing a replacement for that is actually very clever and fair enough, because no one's ever going to be reproducing the original Hasbro one.
It basically boils down to the fact that nobody's going to object to getting a little head.
Yeah.
I've just realised is that one of the other Transformers I was going to show you. I've had this for a couple of years. I got this before we went into this pandemic, and I've just realised I thought it was a knockoff or a third party, but I've just realised it's a Takara one. But I found this in a trash.
Let's have a look.
So I've got this one, the one that comes with a GT sister.
You got that in a charity shop.
Yeah, look how much you paid.
You got a Mission GTR Megatron from a charity shop.
Yep.
Oh my god! I don't have
Ben,
that.
literally, I've got to say at the beginning of the stream, Sven, Baz literally finds the gold mines in charity shops of where he is at stupid little prices. And Baz, was it a masterpiece? Grimlock.
If you want the full man thingy, I found this at a car boot sale for £6.
Oh my god!
Oh, even I know that one.
What colour's the chest panel? I mean,
gold.
You see the actual plastic on front of the chest. Is it green or grey? See where the gold part is, and you've got the plastic bit on the top. Yeah, is it grey?
I think it's like to me it looks like a greeny candy colour, but I'm not too sure.
Colour. Okay, that makes it the 2000 and what
It
was
did
it?
come box, so it's the American version, because I've got the Takara, I've got the actual proper.
Because there's two Western versions of that toy. One was in packaging from Transformers Universe Classics era, and then they put it out in a red box as part of Generations, as part of that masterpiece line that went through Toys R Us.
Well, funny you say that. The one that I got was the Toys R Us one.
Yeah,
it was in the red box.
Yeah,
I couldn't. When I seen that at church, I had a car boot sale. I had to kind of pinch myself because it was like,
oh yeah, quite. Right, I'm going to see if I can send you some pictures. Who's controlling this?
No, I'll send you.
Yeah, I know. Pictures of badges. Let me just see if I can get these downloaded.
If you want to send it to me, then I'll message them to Baz. But
Cool.
2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 second. Right, Dave, have you got your internet on so you can look at the chat for me, please?
Yeah, we got it on.
Sweet. Right then. If Dave wants to put the link up, and if anyone guys want to come into the chat, ask Sven or Dave any Star Trek, or if Lobot wants to come ask any questions, show any toys off, ask the guys questions, you're more than welcome to for the last 25, 30 minutes.
Okay.
Just, I say, if anyone's in the chat, I've decided this week we're going to give something away because of the Transformer guys on Star Trek. You want to make me big 1 second, Baz?
No,
Ben's going to ask you a question in a second. All you need to put in the chat is the answer. The first person that does it in the chat, and Dave says who wins it, I'll send them out to him, okay? It's basically, Sven will explain it a bit more than me.
Okay.
But it's a brand new, never been used Transformers one, which it's Rev, that one. In its steel case with, the Transformer's never been transformed, and you get its weapon and a little cute picture inside.
Okay.
I'll send that out to anyone. All you just need to do is Sven will ask you a question. First person in the chat gets it. I'll send it in the post to him.
Okay.
Thanks, Baz.
Right, that's a Tiny Tins reissue of Rev. Okay, it's a reissue from a little range of very speedy cars that were designed specifically so they would roll like Hot Wheels or something like that. Okay, there's a specific name to this set of 6 cars. There's a specific subline name. They're from Robots in Disguise 2001. But what is the name of this assortment? What was the name of this run of cars? Okay.
And we're very sorry to say that if you know the answer to that, we will not be giving you the therapy that you may require.
Rude.
If no one gets in the next 5 minutes, we'll think of another question, which is that sort of stuff as well. So, but yeah, somebody will get this.
Because that's a tricky question, to be fair, Sven.
Yeah.
It goes with the Transformer itself, so, it's not just like if you want to come on, say hello to Sven, David, ask him any questions, like Leo, but if you're a guy, you want to come on for 5 minutes, ask the guys questions,
I'll answer anything except for my PIN code and my Tinder profile.
So I'm going to ask Sven another kind of question. These are Transformers that B&M's are selling. B&M's is selling the these ones. What's your thoughts on these?
Okay, these are the Authentics line, aren't they? They're basically a budget line that was produced originally for budget shops in the States. So there's a low price point option for kids to pick up, and they're fine. They are what they say on the tin. They are basically a budget line that are quite. I mean, their largest toys in most cases. The plastic's not the best quality in the world, but for going for a price point, because they're what, $7.99. I've picked up. I mean, they've actually had a few variations over the years because Hasbro have done several lines like this for stateside, things like Dollar Tree and stuff like that over in the States.
To be fair, Dollar Tree, by the way, good company.
But there's 3. I mean, there's 3 Authentics that I've got of Optimus Prime already, and it's still going. It's fine. It's a bit of a gateway drug, basically.
What was the one that we always?
It's plastic crack.
Well, I was going to say, what is crack for?
That's a good series, Ben. Actually,
say again.
That's quite a good series on Netflix, on Amazon Prime.
What was?
Sorry, I distracted him by making him check the comments.
The Tiny Tins, yeah,
we know they're Tiny Tins, but we need to know what they came from.
Let me rephrase it because of Sven. So the question is, what range are the Tiny Tins from?
Yeah. What do they come from in Transformers?
In
What
Transformers.
range is this originally from?
The Tiny Tins were the reissues.
Right.
If no one gets in the next couple of minutes, I'll send it out to Lowbox because he got half the question right. So, okay? So if no one gets it correct, I'll send it to Lowbox.
We cut you off there. Would you mind re-asking the original question again?
Dave, you're asking me something.
You're asking him something, and then we had to switch over. What was you asking?
If no one gets in the next 4 or 5 minutes, I might just send it to Lowbox. He's like guest like Tiny Tins.
You're asking me something.
This is the question to you guys. What was the original series from this came from?
No. The question you were asking, not me. You had gone on to something. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
Did you send me the pictures, Sven, on WhatsApp or on Facebook?
Say again?
He sent you them on WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp. I've sent them on WhatsApp.
Send me on Messenger, please, on Facebook Messenger.
That might be difficult, but I'll get on with it. Actually, can you do that? Can you message me them?
I can do if you do the thing. I do not believe.
I'll tell you, it's up to you guys. If you want to show your badges off, it's totally up to you guys.
I don't mind flashing my junk on the internet. I've got no issue.
Worth an ask. I'll say, Lowbot, if you want to come on, say hello to Sven or Dave, ask a few questions about Transformers, you're more than welcome to. It's up to you, you know.
Well, he says ask me or Sven, but you're asking Sven. I'm just here as eye candy.
Well, you like GoBots and...
Really don't.
Yeah.
Let's do it to wind him up.
Yeah.
I know, to be fair, the GoBots as a range was a decent what's the name of toys. Don't you have them saved on your phone from WhatsApp? Don't you have your WhatsApp automatically done to save?
I can't access WhatsApp on this phone.
Okay. All right, no problem.
On the other one.
I'll send it to you here.
Right. We see an RID. Okay. Lowbot gets it. It's going to be the closest I think we're going to get. It's robots. Robots in Disguise was the main line, but they're spy changes.
Woo! Go!
So Lowbot, if you're on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, just message Baz or me, and I'll get you this little Transformer to say thank you very much for watching the stream as well. You know,
it's a nice toy, that little reissue, to be fair.
Yeah, they did actually do some extra ones later on.
Yeah,
which they did then repainted as G1 characters, which was fun. Have you sent that?
I've sent that. You should have it on Messenger.
It's taking its time. It's a few photos, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 12 in total.
Okay. At least I'll be able to forward it directly on.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, I'll get those over to you as soon as I can.
No, don't worry. When it's ready.
All right. Any more questions? Transformers or Trek? Anything? I mean, if you want to branch into RoboCop, I can probably manage some of that.
If you talk about anything else, it's like, you know, I know for a fact that RoboCop does come up on the other chats, that sort of stuff. You know, we're not going to probably talk about Imagine X because there's a Imagine dinosaur in the corner of Sven's arm. You know, we could talk about, but you know.
To be fair, RoboCop.
Other arm Sven on the corner. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Example of a Transformer working backwards. It started as a thing and then slowly turned into a robot.
Well, yeah, I know the feeling.
You've got them.
Right, cool. Dave, I'm going to pass these on to you.
Right.
Send. There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
How did he know how many badges I had? How did that appear? I can't remember.
Because he's seen us at toy fairs.
Oh, yes, that'd be right. Yeah,
I think he's watched 1 or 2 of our episodes.
Just 1 or 2. I know he's commented on it. Yeah. So I can't remember. I don't remember doing an episode with badges.
Do you know how many episodes about badges we've done?
I've no idea.
A few.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we did one about the QMX stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing: is Dave, you've got to bear in mind, there's over 400 episodes.
I forget. I really do forget.
Got to.
It
Oh,
is- it is actually.
just looking at the
fucking-
pictures.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So basically, so there's that one. So the
right.
moral of the story is
you
then
look-
with Transformers. So
Your
guys,
flash-
the moral of the story then with Transformers, like I asked earlier with the Star Trek.
Yeah.
With Transformers, because of all the movies and the toys that made a series, has the prices gone up more in Transformers or stayed the same? I know back in the day, even Transformers back in the day were ridiculous to get hold of and pricey.
I mean, this is the things. If you want a G1 Optimus Prime in mint condition that isn't a knockoff, because there's
No, there's a load of knockoffs.
so you've got to be really careful with that.
Problem with those as well, there's like, is it like 5 or different variations? Because I watched the Leicester Vintage Toys and one of our Sven guys was down there. So
Yeah, I mean,
before we get into that, Dave, do you want to talk about these badges then?
go on then. You do that.
Okay,
Very
so
small 12-picture collection.
that very scruffy looking display there is my mixed display, and it is badges that I wear independently, along with really ridiculous display stands from Star Trek the Motion Picture, which is
So if we come and see you at a show very soon, you might be wearing one of them badges then.
I would actually have at least 2 of those. I always wear one of those because there's a Star Trek Wrath Khan badge, and I normally wear Wrath Khan at events.
Right.
But a few of those, I'd actually have variants of those out on sale because those ones are quite popular.
Next picture.
And there's a Lincoln one there. Okay, so that's a QMX display that's got all the new magnet badges. Quite like those, and the 2 up in the upper field, the Voyager and the TNG one are the reissues, which means because they reissued the original magnet ones, but they for some reason had to change them. So there is a variance between the main one. But the nice thing is they give you a little lapel pin, which is great because the last company that did a lapel pin was Hollywood Pins back in '96.
Mm-hmm.
So those were good ones. Actually, there's a prime example of me having a knockoff because the
dirty knockoff.
Dirty knockoff there is from the Mirror Universe, and that was because QMX cancelled the range. Ironically, they made 3 prototypes, and I have one of those. So
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next one? Okay, so on the bottom, those are the badges from Sven and my Star Trek group, the SFI. So we've got the geekology in the center, it's the green one. To the left, which is the red one, it's the
Space Dock Birmingham.
And then on the right in yellow is the
USS James Watts.
And the wonderful thing about those badges is the fact that the command insignia on the side, the science insignia, and the operations insignia can interchange with the badges. So depending on what ship you're from, you can add the department you're from. And above those are the limited edition SFI Region 20 badges, which were they done as a promotion piece, or were they just
they're just the general thing?
Yeah.
But interestingly, our chevrons
fit
them, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
So you literally, this is a magnet. I don't know if you can see on the screen very well, but it's basically that's the sciences chevron. Okay, which in this case goes
wearing on his fleet extreme.
Yeah, there's magnets behind which hold the badge onto my clothing. So you can then swap that out for, say, David there's got the Command Star version of the chevron with the geekology.
Yeah, the reason for that is not me being funny. It's not me going, it's because whilst we both run Space Dock Birmingham, although Sven is in command, I have my own ship, and my ship is the geekology, and I am in command of that ship. So that's right.
Wait until you get a load of the badge for the USS Optimus Prime.
What's the next? Yeah, he's gonna have that. Okay, what's the next one? We'll cover the next one. Okay, so earlier on, you saw Discovery. You saw QMX badges on a display in their packaging. These ones are loose. This is because I never leave the house not wearing a Star Trek badge of some description. If it's on a jacket I wear regularly, I've got pin badges. But if it's on a suit jacket or it's on a piece of clothing that I quite like,
if you ever go for an MRI scan, you're really screwed.
I tend to wear one of those because they're magnetic. Those are all magnetic except the two at the bottom right corner, because those are the new Discovery badges. One of those is official.
Is that the round ones?
Yeah.
The oval egg ones, yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one is a Chinese knockoff. Normally, I don't approve of those, but somebody specifically asked me to get them one, and then they fluffed me. So I ended up keeping that one.
A little piece of information, actually. That's that new style of Discovery badge. A lot of people are wondering why the design is like that and so on and so forth. It's actually from Star Trek Generations.
Yeah, it's a callback.
It's a callback because that was the logo that was being used to market Star Trek Generations and was being used for Star Trek as a franchise as a whole.
For the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, but never actually got used on screen.
Yeah. So it's a nice homage.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one? Okay, so this is a bit of a mix match. Those are all magnets. They are mostly Region 20. There's a couple of fan-made ones in there as well. It's literally just that I needed somewhere to put magnetic badges that I wear on a semi-regular basis. So that it's not a special display. It's just, and also it was me trying to play around with having displays that looked a little bit more interesting than just solid metal things. Okay, so what's next?
Oh, good God.
Okay, so what you have there is almost all Hollywood pins from from 89 up until, I think the latest one on them would have been 98. At the bottom are the fan sets versions for Lower Decks, because I think they're awesome. At the top, for anybody who doesn't recognize those ones at the top, well, they'll recognize them. They go, oh, those are pretty Star Trek badges. Those pretty Star Trek badges are from the German. Actually, should I say German or was it European?
No,
it was German. They were from the German Blu-ray Steelbook Star Trek The Next Generation, which I would have completely missed if it wasn't for my good friend Sven going, Dave, have you seen what they're doing? They're doing steelbooks. And I'm like, why do I want a German steelbook? I don't want a German steelbook. Dave, there's a badge. Sign me up for the German steelbook, Sven.
Yeah, literally. Next gen.
Basically, anything to do with badges, Dave, you just say, I want it, that's it, to complete the collection.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next? Okay, so that is the bane of my existence. So Hollywood Pins released episode pins, one pin for every episode of Star Trek, the original series, from the cage all the way up to the end of the series. And yeah, I've never been able to complete it. I am at this precise moment in time and 9 badges missing from that set, and I've been searching for those 9 badges for 25 years. So yeah, pain.
Your 9 badges you're missing, Dave, are they on Geekology so people know what 9 you're looking for, or if someone's like watching this in a future stream?
No. Trust me, if anybody has those 9 badges, they are not letting me have one. And those ones are they're the one, you know, when you hear people go, a badge went on eBay for $1,000. It's one of the 9.
It's one of basically the holy grail of badge collecting 9. That you need a very big checkbook or a friend next door to you saying, please. Yeah.
The ironic thing is there's a few of us that are trying to complete that set, and we all know each other and we all slag each other off.
If one of you spots a badge and your 3 of you need it, the price can go that month. Yeah,
I was in a bidding war with somebody just before Christmas, and it turns out that it was a really good job I lost the war, because I lost my job not long after. and it was rather expensive. The fun thing about that particular display is actually the 2 badges. Actually, there are 3 badges on there which are really awesome, aside from the episode ones, which is the top left-hand corner one, which is the big one with the Enterprise, because that has the opening monologue, Space, the Final Frontier.
Yeah,
to think that is a beautiful pin, and they are.
Is that the one with 2 spaceships on?
Yeah, that's no. Yeah, the thing is, whilst that is an incredibly rare pin, it's actually not that expensive. You see them from anywhere from like 80 to 100, and the badge is, in my personal opinion, is worth more. But it's a beautiful badge. And then the bottom are absolutely glorious. So those are both collector's ones that were only available if you had the whole display in your shop. So those are absolutely fantastic pieces.
Thank you.
Okay, so have we got any more left after that? I can't remember.
Last one.
I'll let Sven do this one.
Okay, that's more of the fan-made stuff from Star Trek event, Star Trek clubs. Most of it's from the UK and Ireland.
There's a couple of Americans.
There's a couple of Americans, but yeah, they're basically, you know, they've got different designs, and that's basically to denote the different ships or chapters in the fan clubs.
Basically, what happened was Sven finds it hard to get me birthday and Christmas presents, so we made a deal. I don't buy any of those, and I know what turns up at birthday and Christmas is. And in exchange,
at least it's something to complete the setup. So sweet. Thank you for that. Right. Thanks, Baz.
No problem.
That's it. That's the last one, Dave.
Okay. Just going down through
basically,
comments.
Basically, then, Dave, the moral of the story for pin badge collectors, then, I've noticed, where toy people put out what they're looking for or what they're hoping to find for certain people, in like the pin badge world, you try not to, because
the fact that I just put that picture up there for you guys is considered a massive no-no. People don't do it because you don't want people to know what you're missing, because you might end up in a bidding war with them. But I, on the other hand, reach out to the geek community quite a lot when there are bits and pieces I need, because you never know. You know, there are plenty of people who are generous of spirit and go, you know what, I have one of these, or I know somebody who's got one of these. And I tend to be quite I'm on a lot of the Facebook groups, and I'm quite well known for being a really fair guy. If you come to me going, I don't know what this is, I'll go, it's worth this much money. I'd like to pay you slightly under that, but this is what it's actually worth. And most people tend to be, you know what, I'm a big believer in positive energy. You put positive energy out into the world, and hopefully it comes back.
Right. So just before we finish off, Lobot's got one question, I think, to probably all of us.
House on Fire.
House on Fire, which, if you could take one item with you, which one would it be?
The fire extinguisher to put the house out, because I'm not picking my collection. I'm not choosing amongst my babies. That's wrong.
I would pick.
So technically, then you'd take one of your pin badge collections, so you could at least live for them 300 years of money. Yeah.
I mean, if it's one toy for me, it's always going to be my G1 Optimus Prime, the original 1984 one, because that's the one that means the most to me. Quite simply. So yeah.
Okay, if it was me, it actually isn't in the house, but if it were, we'll pretend that it was in the house. If it was me, I have you guys remember Star Trek 6, the film?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, in the film, there's the big dinner sequence, isn't there, where they all sit down and have a meal? Okay, well, Leonard Nimoy used a plate, a cup, a saucer, a side dish, and a thing. And I have those original props used by Leonard Nimoy in the movie. So those would have to be saved, just because they're not making any more of those. No, so that'd probably be the thing I'd rescue.
Yeah. What would you guys choose?
I'd probably choose. I've got an elf behind my banners. It's probably something like that where somebody else has bought it for us.
Yeah.
There's more sentimental values than one of the expensive toys around here. That sort of stuff. because some of this can be replaced, but there's certain things certain people buy that you can't get back at all.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's the memories, it's the childhood stuff that goes with it.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff. But you'd almost choose something like one of my childhood little items to go with something, you know. It's like somebody's, you know. But the thing is, I met Sven like 15, 20 years ago. And even the other day when I was sorting through one of my rooms, I bought something off Sven. I think there was only 2 done. I can't remember how many. Which was from Smallville. Do you remember it, Sven?
Oh, have you got the octagonal key? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You had a spare one, and you said, Dave, when Smallville was mega, you know, you got one. Someone made one. You got one in a spare one, and I got it off you.
Oh, okay. I don't recall.
Something like that. Okay. You know, gone through me everything. It's still out there. You know, it's more sentimental than. You know, I could say the rarest item. Yes, I could take that with me and live off it for the next 10 years. Yeah. Like, you know, anything, but it's more sentimental value that to me.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. G1 Optimus Prime came from my mom.
Yeah.
It was the first Transformer I ever had. So
I would have to say this little guy.
Oh, bloody hell!
Wow, I haven't seen one of those in a while.
Well, you wouldn't have done. They never reissued.
The only reason I say this guy is because when I was younger, Papa used to take us to the car boot sales, and this was the first item that he ever bought me. But my Papa passed away like 5 months ago, so this is more,
I'm sorry.
This is more sentimental to me than anything else, kind of thing. Eh? So I would probably pick this guy, even though I've probably better things I could choose for, but. This is always
my dad is the anniversary of my dad passing a couple of days ago, so no, I totally get that.
Yeah, totally.
So once again, Lobot in the chat if you want to reach out, if you want to follow any of us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, on any of 3 of us, mind me to message you and I'll send this out in the post. Any to one Lobot. So if any of you guys want of this on, you know, some way to get an address to us, I'll send it out to you.
Right, Lobot said. Lobot said not into collecting Star Trek, like the shows and 7 of 9, of course. Especially now, she's even hotter in Picard, frankly. But these are cool, referring to the badges, I assume. Do any of these make noises? There are only the main ones that made noises were plastic ones, to be fair, which had a thing you put behind them. You pressed on what?
That was the second wave of them that made noises. The original ones were metal Hollywood pins ones that had the round double daps and they had the back.
Oh well, yeah.
You don't know those because those were American.
Well, yes. But the most important, the most impressive one, frankly, is the FT. Is it FTC? There's a Bluetooth badge.
The Bluetooth one is gorgeous.
Not from Star Wars.
Say again?
There's a Bluetooth from Star Wars. You see that one?
No. It's an actual com badge size com badge. Bluetooth to your phone, and it's awesome.
Right. It's fun because he runs around events and has it playing Transformers music. It's bizarre. It's bizarre but funny.
Yeah.
So just before we finish up, then, guys, where can we actually find you? Have you got any shows upcoming that if anyone wants to say hello, come and say hello to you guys?
Definitely. Okay, so
give yourself a 5-minute plug if you got any show. I know you guys do bigger shows than me and everything else, so plug yourself.
Okay. So unfortunately, we've had a couple of events cancel, which is a shame, and we're looking forward to doing them next year because most have been postponed to next year. So a big shout out to the Science Fiction Ball because they're a wonderful organisation, raise lots of money for charity, as is Birth of the Federation. That one's also been put back. However, events we've got coming up, we've got some toy fairs at the NEC. Is it Malvern?
Malvern Toy Fair.
Malvern Toy Fair
in April. But if you want to find our actual output, your best bet's to start at, we're on YouTube. But your best place to start
geekology.com or geekology.
geekology.org.uk.
Yeah.
Basically
probably in the chat or you'll put in the description or something, so don't worry, guys.
And basically, the links to everything is down are on that page. And when we do a new episode of our show, it tends to go out as a premiere, so we can interact with people.
So you can basically watch it yourself, comment in the chat as well as like looking at yourself and saying, "Did we say that again?" Yeah.
But Sven will be enthusiastically at TF Nation.
Yep.
I will be drunkenly at TF Nation.
Is that again this year? Because I know you got cancelled last year and the year before.
Yeah, it's supposed to be going ahead in August this year, but who knows in the current situation. All it'll take is one really nasty variant, and we might be all locked down again.
You're going to say missile,
or that.
Yeah, we could have anything these days. So yeah. So basically, you can find you guys at the NEC Toy Fair in March.
Yep.
There is something coming in special for that on our Baz live stream soon, which I'll explain more near the time.
Yep.
Me and Baz are doing like, I know Ben hates it, but we're doing like a big Power Ranger one next week.
Okay.
So if you guys want to join us for Power Rangers, be in the chat. There you go.
Too old for Power Rangers.
Actually, you know what? Okay, he says that I've been to a couple of Power Ranger events and they were awesome. They were so much fun. People really,
so there you go. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube at David World Toys. I say, Lobot, hit one of us up. Any of us are getting back to me, and I'll send it out. Baz, where can we find you? Come on.
Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter.
Actually, whilst we're advertising stuff, please, for the love of God, follow my Instagram. It's separate to the geekology thing. It's just my own little thing. It's loads of weird little.
If you guys pink badges, please get me more.
Yeah, basically, it's called Love Your Geek. What it is, I'm trying desperately to get as many members as all the girls. And it's not going to work, but I can try. Try.
You're very trying.
Yeah, it's true. I am.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're on
everything.
We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Flickr,
Bumble, Tinder, you name it, we're there.
But it's the geekology.com on all of it. So.
Yeah, geekology.org.uk, and you'll get to everything.
Yeah, true.
So the last question is then, where did geekology come from then?
Okay.
Is that a short question or a long answer?
It's really sure. The base concept for it was Sven was opening up a shop.
Oh no, it isn't.
No, I'm not about the name. I'm not about the name.
No, you jumped forward.
Have I? Okay.
Yeah, you have. Basically, the original plan was actually for a show called Format.
Oh, yes, the original.
And the idea of that was we were going to do Top Gear for video games.
Yeah.
And the idea was I was going to be the PlayStation guy, he was going to be the Xbox guy, and we were going to have a Nintendo girl. So we basically
I was dating a girl at the time.
Yeah, it was massively Nintendo,
which helped.
Unfortunately, that never really took off. But it really basically got redeveloped into what geekology is now.
Yeah.
Because we were essentially talking about, I tend to come around here once a week and we talk about all the geek stuff that's happened in the last week or so. And then we started filming it.
Yeah.
Essentially. So that's essentially where geekology came from. It's just us filming playing with toys was the initial thing.
But basically, I just couldn't take being the only one having to listen to his nonsense, and I thought I should inflict it on the rest of the world.
Ironically, the first episode we ever did, which is terrible, by the way.
No, it's awful.
It's still on YouTube, but it's really bad. It was actually it's the Creo Enterprise that Hasbro put out. And then in the first few episodes, I did the Titan class. We did the Titan class Metroplex.
Yeah, we did Metroplex.
Right.
And we did a roundup of Masterpiece Transformers, which got a ridiculous number of views, and still getting views. And that was released in 2013.
And it's bad. It's really bad.
People, the hype of the YouTube was used back in then. It's crazy. So
yeah, I mean, we had some severe technical issues with that. So it actually starts with a scrolling screen with me explaining what was actually supposed to be happening. And and it starts off with a terrible joke, which I apologise to everybody for.
Is it better than More Than Meets the Eye? You know, the eye for the train. You know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It's Beast Wars packaging had an eye on it.
It did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
But no. Thank you very much, Sven and Dave, for coming on and enjoying yourself. So, Baz, do you want to lead us out? Stop on for a couple more minutes. Baz will lead us out. So, okay. Baz?
Until next week?
Yep. Till next week. Is it live long and prosper?
Prosperity and long life.
Joe Lantrue in Romulan.
Thank you.
Take care.
Catch you later.